Hey everyone.
Hey guys.
Welcome to another Travel Therapy Mentor video. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 benefits of travel therapy. We haven't made a video in a little while now, and this is a topic that pretty often we get questions from people, that are considering leaving their permanent job, and they want to know, why would I actually leave? What would be the reason that I would choose to travel? Or new grads that are trying to choose between a permanent job or taking a travel therapy job and jumping into the travel therapy world. So we're going to discuss what we think are the top 5 benefits, and you guys watching, if you have any additional ones that you'd like to add. We obviously think there's more than 5, but these are our top 5. So Wendy's going to introduce us, and we'll go ahead and start talking about that.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining. We're Whitney and Jared Kazaza. We're the faces behind Travel Therapy Mentor. Many of you guys may have watched our videos or listened to our podcasts in the past, so thanks for joining us again. If you're new here, welcome. If you are new to our channel, to our page, we'd love if you'd go back and watch some of our previous videos, listen to our podcast. We've been doing this for several years now. We've had the podcast for, I think, 5 years, and we've been travel PTs for 10. So we've got a lot of content on our website and on our social media channels that can teach you all the different things that you need to know about travel therapy. So like Jared said, tonight is kind of like a more general topic, but we do get this question a lot, what are some of the main benefits? What are some of the reasons why you want to become a travel therapist? We're also getting ready to go and do a couple of school talks at our alma maters. Every year or every other year or so, we try to go back to where we went to physical therapy school and give a talk about travel physical therapy. So we'll have that coming up soon, and we just wanted to kind of, circle back to the basics here on tonight's video. If you are watching live tonight with us on Facebook or Instagram, we'd love if you'd say hello in the comments. Also, if you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and we'll answer live, or you can leave a comment later or send us a message later after the video if you watch on the replay, and we'll be happy to help you out. Before we dive into tonight's topic, did have just a couple announcements. I can't believe it's already November. We're coming up on the end of the year already. I don't know where this year has gone, but we do have some giveaways that we do every year at the end of the year. So if you want to be eligible for our giveaways, the main one that we do is we give away 5 $200 gift cards. So that's $1,000 in giveaways to travel therapists that took contracts with our recommended recruiters. So if you're listening and you know that you took a contract this year with one of the recruiters that we recommended for you, either through our Hot Jobs page or through our recruiter recommendation form, all you need to do is go and fill out the contract completion giveaway form. That way you can get your entry in, you can let us know that you did take a contract, what were the dates, and also we'd love to get a little bit of feedback from you about your experience with working with that recommended recruiter. This is, a win-win for us. It enters you into the giveaway, and then also it allows us to get some feedback about the recruiters that we're recommending to others. I don't know if you want to say a little bit more about that,
Yeah. It helps us a lot because and also helps you guys. It's kind of a community thing because we can refine the recruiters that we send people to based on feedback that we get. So, ones that we get any bad feedback about, we can address that, talk with them, and if it isn't fixed, then we can switch them out. And people that get good feedback, then we send more people to those people. So, we'd love to hear your feedback. That's really helpful for us, and it also helps future travelers.
Yeah, we definitely want to make sure that we're sending folks to the right recruiters and making sure that they're still doing a good job and giving you guys a good experience when you work with them. So, if you want to fill out that giveaway form, it's on our website on the main menu under just giveaway. It's the contract completion form. If you haven't taken a job with one of our recommended recruiters, but you're interested in that, you can go to our website at traveltherapymentor.com/recruiters and get connected with recruiters there.
Yeah, and just to touch on a little bit, for people that don't have any idea what we do, we've got over 50 recruiters now that we send people to. We've got over a dozen companies that we send people to, like the recruiters at those different companies. So when you fill out that form, we send you to who we think will be the best fit for you, both company-wise and recruiter-wise. So, if you're looking for jobs specifically in California or Florida or whatever, there's some companies that specialize, or if you're looking for jobs specifically in home health or specifically in schools or something like that, we can send you to the companies that will be the best fit for you, and also the recruiters that will be the best fit for you, because there's definitely recruiters that we know that work really, really well with new grads, and there's other ones that don't work so well with new grads, and there's recruiters that work really, really well with experienced school-based therapists, and other ones that have no idea about school. So you want to make sure that you're connected with the best recruiter and the best companies that will fit what you need.
Yeah, and we've taken the time over the last 10 years of being involved in the industry to get to know a lot of different recruiters, interview a lot of them for you. We've talked to hundreds of recruiters and dozens of companies at this point. to try to find out who we feel like are the best ones to work with. So it's not just, the 3 recruiters that we have personally worked with that we're sending you to that we, think are good. We've really taken a lot of time and put a lot of effort into finding and identifying good ones. So hopefully that has been a beneficial service to you. And again, we'd love to hear your feedback on those contract giveaway forms that you fill out for us.
We haven't talked much about that big giveaway yet. And so we've only had, I think we've got 28 people or something that have signed up out of I think there's over 250 eligible for this year. So you've got really good odds right now if you fill it out.
Yep. So make sure to go fill that out so you can get entered to win one of those $200 gift cards. In addition to that giveaway, you can also get entered for our social media review giveaway. If you want to go onto our Facebook or our podcast and leave a review about your experience either working with us or reading our website or watching our videos, if you just want to give us a little review there and then send us a screenshot of that review, you'll get entered to win a gift card for that as well. I think that's $100 for that one. And then we'll also do a $100 gift card giveaway for someone who took our course and left a review about the course. So yeah, those giveaways will be coming up at the end of the year, close to New Year's.
And we're also going to be doing a sale with MedBridge for Black Friday coming up soon, and also another sale on our course. So anybody that hasn't taken the course that wants to, you'll have a discount on that.
Yep, so keep an eye out as we get closer to the end of the year for those discounts coming up as well as the giveaways. All right, so I see there's a bunch of you guys on live on Instagram and Facebook. Say hello in the comments if you'd like to. We're glad that you joined us. So we're going to dive into the topic for tonight, which is the top 5 benefits of being a travel therapist.
So the first benefit is probably the most common, the most obvious benefit is higher pay. So most therapists, I would say over half of the travel therapists that get into travel get into it because they want to make more money. A variety of reasons for that. Obviously, one of the big things now is being able to pay off your student loans. So many people are graduating with huge amounts of student debt, and they want to be able to get a jump start on that and pay it off quickly. Initially, that's what we plan to do as well, and that's definitely the main reason we got into travel was the pay. I knew that we would make significantly more, and we could save a lot of money, either pay off our loans or invest, and that worked out extremely well for us. And I think now it's even better than it was back then. So people that are starting to travel now are making significantly more. We usually say 1.5 to 2 times as much as you'd make at a permanent job for most areas of the country and most travel jobs. Yeah. So obviously there's gonna be large variations. There's some travel jobs that might pay 3 times as much as somebody would make at their job in their hometown, and there's some that maybe your hometown pays really well and you'd only make 1.25 what you would make at your permanent job. So it really depends. There's a lot of variation, but on average, it's 1.5 to 2 times as much.
Yeah, and we get this question a lot from folks that are kind of trying to get into travel therapy. They want to know, how much can I expect to make? And it really does vary depending on your discipline, the location of the job, the setting, and then also how desirable that job is or how desperate they are. But if you want to get kind of an idea of some different jobs, you can look at job boards online. You can check out our hot jobs list if you just kind of want to browse some options and see kind of what it might be paying in the area or the setting you're looking for and for your discipline. In general, when we started as travel PTs 10 years ago, our travel therapy contracts were paying somewhere between $1,500 and $1,800 a week after taxes. Now, post 2021, the pay has gone up a lot. So a physical therapist now, I'd say on the low end, probably the lowest contract you're going to see is about $1,700 a week after taxes. And we know lots and lots of people that are making over $2,000 a week after taxes, even some making $2,500 plus a week after taxes.
Yeah, if you want to just take the highest paying contract, you can, especially as a PT, you can pretty consistently find jobs paying $2,500 or more, somewhere in the $25,000 to $3,000 a week range. But again, you're not going to be able to be very picky on those jobs. Most are probably between $2,000 and maybe $2,300. I would say that's the majority of jobs right now. And like what he said, there's going to be some on the lower end, some on the higher, above that, but that's the average range.
Yeah, and again, it just depends on where you're looking. So if you're being extremely specific, like you only want outpatient in Florida in the winter, when it's really competitive to go to Florida in the winter, then you might be looking more at the $1,700, $1,800 range. But if you're willing to go and do outpatient or home health in California, in the Bay Area, you're easily going to make over $2,500 a week. So
yeah, or in rural Alaska, we've seen a lot of really high-paying jobs in rural areas of Alaska right now.
Yeah, 3,000 plus we've seen in Alaska.
And some of them include housing, which is insane. So if you really want to make a lot of money, and you don't mind going to places that are, kind of rural, desolate, not a lot to do, then you can make a lot of money as a traveler right now.
Yeah, and that's for PTs. Now, if you're a PTA, it's going to be a little bit on the lower end. I think The high pay for PTA is going to be somewhere in like the $1,700-$1,800 range. So anywhere from maybe like $1,400 to $1,800. If you're an OT, it's going to be a little bit less than PT, probably a little bit closer to that $2,000 range, $1,500 to $2,000, probably about the same for SLP. But you can find good high-paying ones as OT and SLP as well. Just again, kind of depends on the location and setting. But yeah, so as far as the top 5 benefits of being a travel physical therapist or travel therapist, pay is really up there for a lot of people. As Jared mentioned, you can make a lot more to meet your financial goals, especially early in your career. We hear so many people that are just trying to tackle debt and find ways to improve their finances early on. So
yeah, I mean, for us it was huge. I remember when we first started, I was like trying to. Initially, I thought we were going to pay off our loans, but decided not to do that and invest instead. And I remember I was like trying to aggressively save and invest $100,000 as fast as I could, and I did that in 15 months. And like I said, now you can do that significantly faster. So if you're willing to, live pretty frugally and save a lot, take pretty high-paying jobs, keep your living situation moderate, like not getting expensive housing, not have expensive tax home, you can save a lot of money as a traveler.
Yeah. We could talk forever about the financial benefits. Many of you guys who've watched our stuff before know that we are really into the financial aspect of things, especially Jared. So if you do want to dive deeper into understanding the financial side of things, financial planning as it pertains to being a travel therapist, because there is a little bit of planning you need to do as far as being savvy about your expenses, because you're having to duplicate expenses at your tax home and during your travel assignment. But we have tons of videos, past podcasts that you can go back and listen to about that. Also lots of articles on both our traveltherapymentor.com website and our fifthwheelpt.com blog, where Jared writes a lot about finances. So you can dive into that whole rabbit hole if you'd like. But suffice to say, in general, you can make a lot more as a travel therapist, and you can really tackle your financial goals.
Yep. Okay, so number 2 is being able to try out new practice settings. So when we graduated, Whitney and I both thought we wanted to do outpatient, and we took most of our contracts in outpatient, but we never tried a lot of other settings. So my school, we only had 3 clinicals. So I did 2 outpatient and 1 inpatient rehab. So I didn't have much experience at all with other settings. And that was mostly my fault. I was like, I really want to work in outpatient. That's all I want to do. I don't want to have clinicals in other settings. But I didn't really know what other settings would be like. And travel gave me an opportunity to try out some things that I would never have accepted a full-time job in. So I did acute care, I did wound care, I did some home health, I did skilled nursing. So I got to try those, but just for a short period of time. So if I didn't like them, I could move on. And some of it was surprising to me. I liked home health a lot more than I thought. I liked skilled nursing just as little as I thought I would. So yeah, you get to try out different settings and without signing on for an extended period of time.
Yeah, this can be really appealing, especially for a new grad therapist. We talk to new grad therapists all the time that say kind of the same thing Jared did, where they got out of school and they only had a couple of clinical internships where they had an opportunity to see a few settings, but they're not really sure which setting they want to choose yet. So travel gives them an opportunity almost to get like more paid clinicals. It's that short-term time frame where you're going into a place, trying it out before you're committing to a long-term job. So a lot of new grads really like that. But it's not just for new grads. I will say there's a lot of other therapists that are more experienced that in their career, they just like to switch it up. Whether that's because they get bored or because they kind of, just need a change. A lot of them, it's because they want to avoid burnout. Maybe they've been in one setting for a long time and they're just feeling really burnt out. And we unfortunately have people come to us all the time and say, I'm thinking about getting out of PT. Are there some non-clinical jobs I could do? I need to do something else. But quite often, if they pursue travel and they not only, we're going to get into talking in a little while about like the flexibility and the time off, but also just switching settings can allow them to, break up the monotony and get out of that bad situation where they were feeling really burnt out.
Yep.
Yeah. So, for a lot of folks, the opportunity to work short-term contracts in different settings and try out different things is really beneficial to them. So that might be something that really interests you about travel therapy.
Yeah, anybody that's been working for a while in one setting, it kind of gets monotonous. That's definitely the case for outpatient. You see a lot of the same stuff, and you're doing a lot of the same exercises, same things, same conversations, same evaluation flow. Everything's similar. So it's easy to feel like, burnt out with that same thing every day. But yeah, if you can go try out home health or try something completely different, then it kind of almost feels like a vacation from your job while you're still working. You get to try something new.
Yep. And that's the same thing, we kind of mentioned the setting, but even just the facility itself. Like, even if you decide to stay all in outpatient or all in inpatient rehab or whatever it is, just changing locations to a new hospital, a new clinic in a new location can sometimes be that break that somebody needs. Or maybe they're really not liking the management style at one, and then this other one offers a different variety of lower caseload or different management that's not so toxic as the one you're in now. So some people really like to switch that up.
Okay, we got a question on Instagram from Libby. Is 49 too late to do travel therapy? No. We know a lot of people that start traveling after, their kids are out of the house, empty nesters, want to just see the country. So, and honestly, like, if you're someone that's a little bit later in your career and you've saved a decent amount of money, then it can be a really great, bridge into retirement, because you could just do one contract every 4 or 5 months, or 2 contracts a year, or 3 contracts a year, however you want to structure it. And in a lot of cases, you can work 2 contracts a year and make what you would working a full-time job for the full year. So it kind of gives you just more ability to ease your way into retirement.
Yeah, and we hear from folks that are at all different stages of their careers, all different life circumstances. Like Jared said, some empty nesters, some people that are early in their career as new grads, some people that are right in the middle of their career and just need a change for whatever reason. So we don't think that there's any specific age that travel therapy is the best. It just really depends on your specific life circumstances, but you can absolutely make it work for you. I will say, I don't even think 49 is old. It's so funny when you get older, you're like, oh my gosh, that's young. What you used to think was old, like, we're in our mid to late 30s now, and it's like, you're not much older than us. But I will say some older therapists, I would say probably older than 49, probably in their 50s or 60s. I think the only thing I've heard that made it harder for some of them is if they had been at the same facility for a long time and they were really accustomed to one way of doing things, especially from a documentation and technology standpoint. We have heard some clinicians say it was just harder later in their career to adapt well to a new work environment, adapt well to a new EMR. So you would just need to take that into consideration as far as your own personal abilities and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, in terms of that adaptability, I already see that myself. We graduated 10 years ago. We started traveling then. I was extremely adaptable. I could pick things up really quick, and everything seemed fine back then. But now I'm definitely slower 10 years later in terms of learning new EMRs and just all the things that go along with going to a new facility.
Yeah, so it really just depends on you and your personality as well as your personal life circumstances, but we don't think that there's any age limit on when it's okay to do travel therapy. So if you have more questions, Libby, feel free to send us a message. We'd be happy to help you and connect you with the right folks to get you started.
Yep. Okay, number 3, learning from a variety of different clinicians. So this is something that early on, like I said, we started as new grads. I was nervous, and I think a lot of new grads are nervous about the whole mentorship aspect of traveling. So you're not sure, I don't know, I'd kind of like to take a permanent job. I might get mentorship. Maybe I can learn from other clinicians. And I was worried about that too. Whitney was as well. But what we found with travel was that in the first, I did the math one time. I can't remember exactly what it was, but in our first 2 years of traveling, our first 2 years of working as clinicians, I worked with 30 different clinicians. And what was really cool about that is I learned from all of them. I would ask people questions during breaks or during lunch or whatever, ask about treatment styles, ask about how they do things. And most PTs, or I'm sure all therapists are like this, but they're very eager to teach you what they know, especially if you're a young therapist, if you're a new grad, and you go into a new clinic and there's someone there that has a ton of experience and they're getting really good outcomes, and you say, hey, I saw you did this with this person. What was that for? Or how did you explain this? And so we learned so much from working with just a variety of different clinicians. So I would say that it's not structured mentorship, obviously, but it's a different type of mentorship that you can learn from a lot of different people. Because I know other people that I graduated with that took perm jobs that worked either by themselves or with just one other clinician for 10 years. And, how much can you really learn from that outside of, except for things that you're doing outside the clinic, like CUs and things. But it's a little more stagnant than it would be if you're going to a bunch of different places, learning from a bunch of different people.
Yeah, when we worked in so many different clinics, we worked in a lot of rural locations too. We were so surprised at how some of the staff was really small, where they would just have 1 or 2 people and they had just been with those same 1 or 2 people forever. And the other thing that really surprised me is back when you're in school or you're a new grad, you think that whoever the manager is must be so experienced and so knowledgeable. But then like 2 years out of PT school, our classmates were managers at a lot of clinics. And we were like, how are they managers? Like, aren't you supposed to be like experienced to be a manager? So all of that to say that like there's a lot of people who take permanent jobs that are getting thrown into positions of management and not having a lot of guidance or other people around them to learn from, and suddenly they're the expert 2 years out, and it's like maybe you're not the expert. So I don't know, I think it's a huge benefit of travel therapy to learn from a variety of clinicians and see a lot of different places, and then also just how different, like, not only the clinicians do things but how the management does things, how the clinic runs. We learned so many things, good and bad, about how different facilities do things that we carried with us. And it's like, oh, we don't, that's not good. We don't want our clinic in the future, wherever we settle down, to look like that. Or
in terms of scheduling, in terms of double booking, in terms of support staff, in terms of just so many different things, documentation systems. There's just a lot of things that you learn that you like and you don't like, which is, it's very good for you later on when you do decide to settle into a perm job, so you can kind of avoid the things that you don't like, instead of just accepting a perm job and then finding out, oh, I don't really like this, and now I'm here.
Yeah, so I think that can be a huge benefit for you in pursuing travel therapy, is working with a lot of different clinicians, working in a lot of different facilities, and learning and growing as a clinician. All right, so the next one, and again, we got 2 more key points that we're going to talk about here, but if anybody has any other questions, if you are watching live, we'd love if you just say hi in the comments and let us know, and we'd be happy to answer your questions. All right, the next one that we want to talk about is personal and professional growth. So we've already kind of touched a little bit on the professional growth side of things, so learning from a lot of clinicians, learning from a lot of facilities, growing your skill set as a clinician by working in different settings and locations. But I think one thing that's not talked about enough is personal growth through travel. So we just learned and grew so much as people through traveling the country. So for a lot of folks, especially if you're a solo traveler, I think you're putting yourself in situations where, you really have to be adaptable and meet new people and, step outside of the box and outside of your comfort zone. And that can be really good for you to travel the country. The other thing is moving into different communities. So we learned a lot about just the way the world works, I guess. You see different communities. A lot of times, again, in these like rural areas or underserved populations, you're learning a lot about just the way the country works and the world works, and you're seeing different populations that you wouldn't necessarily see at home. And I think you come out of that a better person, having grown personally. Yeah.
There's just such a wide variety in the country, not only just geographically, but also cities versus rural areas, and just seeing how things work. Yeah, it's really important, especially if you're the type of traveler that wants to determine where you want to move to. If you want to like leave your hometown and you're like, okay, I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to travel different places. We learned that we're from a smaller town, not real small, but 100,000 people, and we thought, okay, well, let's see what it's like to live in a more populated area, city. We learned that we really did not like cities very much. We like places that are a little more slow, where there's not so much traffic, people aren't as hectic, so you get to see a variety of different things, and you get to learn what you like and what you don't like from a personal perspective, from where you want to live perspective, which I think can be really valuable.
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of opportunity for personal and professional growth by being a travel therapist in the facilities, and also just being a new person in a new place. I think also outside of traveling the U.S. and having learned a lot about the U.S., well, just to reflect a little bit more on our experiences, some of the most unique places for us, having come from the South, is we worked in New England, and that was a complete culture shock for us. Also, working in Alaska, we learned so much about the communities out there, and Alaska is just a whole nother world. And same thing with Hawaii. It was very different culturally, and we learned so much from being there. But in addition to that, we also used travel therapy to travel the world quite a bit. So we had the opportunities, which is the next one that we're going to talk about, is flexibility in your schedule. So we had flexibility in our schedule to travel the world. And anybody who has traveled the world will tell you that they've learned so much and grown so much personally through travel.
Yeah, so we've made videos specifically about this in the past, but our number one benefit these days, when we started, like I said, it was all about pay, try to make as much as we possibly could, save a lot of money. These days, the number one benefit is flexibility. So that means a lot of different things to us, but being able to take time off, do whatever we want between contracts, take as long as we want off. We never wanted to be the type of people that had like 2 weeks vacation a year or 3 weeks vacation, and you're just stuck to that. And then you're also stuck to like, hopefully other people don't want off the same days I want off and all that. So we loved the aspect of, we work these 13 weeks, we can take as long as we want off. It could be 1 month, 2 months, 6 months. We've taken 6+ months off before. We've gone on 5-month-long trips internationally, just for fun between contracts. So travel therapy, the flexibility and the pay combined to give you that ability to do that kind of stuff. So we could make in one contract in 3 months what we'd make in 6 months back home, and then use that extra money to travel for as long as we wanted to, really. So that flexibility, work-life balance, in that regard is really important to us, and I think a lot of people also see that benefit more and more as they get into travel therapy.
Yeah, and this is, it's multifaceted. They kind of all overlap in a way, but the flexibility provides you so many opportunities to use it how you want to use it. So for some people, they're using the flexibility to take time off and go home and be able to see family more, be home for the holidays, that sort of thing. Make sure to take time off when they have friends that have weddings and different events they want to attend. Some people are using that flexibility to take longer road trips. Take, say if you work one contract on the East Coast and then you build in 2 or 3 weeks off to get to your next one on the West Coast. Well, now you're doing this awesome cross-country road trip that nobody else really has an opportunity to do. So you're using the flexibility to travel in the U.S. and do cool things. Some people like us are using the flexibility to travel the world, to see places they never have seen before. We've talked a ton about that, like having the opportunity to take a whole month or more off. Most people that have a permanent job are never going to have the opportunity to travel in that way. So a lot of people are using the flexibility to travel. Some people we've talked to are using the flexibility in other ways. Maybe they don't want to be a clinician forever and they want to build their own business or side hustle. And so some people are using the flexibility of travel therapy to have time to take off and build this other thing while having a safety net, right? Because a lot of times when people do startups or they pursue entrepreneurship, there's a lot of risk there because they don't have money and they can't afford to take time off of their main job in order to build this other thing. But with travel therapy, you have the money and the flexibility to take some time off and build this other thing that you're passionate about and you're wanting to grow. So there's just a lot of different ways. And then again, I've also talked a little bit about the burnout. So as far as the work-life balance, some people just need time to reset and not have to be working 52 weeks a year or 50 weeks a year. So that personal time off and that reset can really be good for your mental health and for not getting burnt out. Yeah. So there's just a lot of ways, depending on who you are and what your goals are, that you can use the flexibility of travel therapy to suit you.
In terms of, that was actually a good point Whitney brought up there, was we haven't talked a whole lot about this, but Travel Therapy Mentor was basically a product of this time off and this flexibility, because when we were traveling for the first 3.5 years, we were traveling as quickly as possible, going to the next contract, trying not to take any time off, trying to save up as much as we could. Then we decided to take this crazy 5-month international trip. And during that trip, when I had time to like sit and reflect more, I was like, hey, we could actually try to build something that'll be helpful for other travelers and people getting into it. We know how little we knew when we started out and how many questions we had, and we would have loved to be able to talk to somebody that was experienced and that would give us good recommendations for recruiters to work with. And that's how Travel Therapy Mentor started. And we had the time and like the the headspace, the bandwidth to be able to really put some effort into it. I mean, we decided this in Thailand, and we had a whole month in that city in Thailand, and we were like, okay, well, we'll go to cafes each day, and we'll write articles, and we'll try to reach out to recruiters and start making these connections, and that's really how Travel Therapy Mentor started. So if we had just continuously been working, I don't think I ever would have had the mental capacity to really step back and be like, hey, this could be something that is like basically our full-time job now. So that's...
I know I wouldn't have, because Jared started our first blog, Fifth Wheel PT, as just kind of a side project while we were working full-time. And not just full-time, but Jared was working a lot of overtime, picking up PRN jobs, trying to save aggressively in this first couple of years. And when he decided to start the blog, he was like, oh, we should do this together. And I felt personally overwhelmed by just being a full-time clinician, as well as the other day-to-day things that we have to do in life, and then also trying to have fun and explore as a new person in a new area as a travel therapist on the weekends. So I didn't feel as though during that time that I had time for this side project, this side hustle of the blog. So I really wasn't involved that much early on when Jared had the Fifth Wheel PT blog. But once we decided to, loosen up a little bit, take a little bit more time off, kind of enjoy the fruits of our labor of having worked full-time as a travel therapist for the first 3 years, and then take that time off to travel abroad, we were like, wow, this is actually really nice, and maybe we could find a way to extend this lifestyle even further by becoming like digital nomads, or having this entrepreneurship on the side. But I definitely just didn't have the headspace, like Jared said, when we were working full-time to even think about doing something like that. But once we took some time off, I was like, oh wow, now I can be creative and I have time to think and do all this stuff. So if that's something that you're thinking about, maybe there's some other interests that you have outside of being a clinician, then sometimes travel therapy can open up that opportunity for you. We've talked to a lot of people that used it, whether it was to build their own practice. Maybe they want to start a cash-based outpatient type thing, or home health type cash pay in-home, what do they call it, concierge, or something completely outside of healthcare as well. We've talked to folks that have used it in that way.
Yeah, and back on our original blog, I was lucky working overtime, working PRN, doing everything else I was doing, to be able to get one article out per week. But then we actually had the dedicated time and focus. We were, in the early days of Travel Therapy Mentor, I think we were writing 2 or 3 articles a week. We were doing weekly videos. So we would have never been able to do that if we didn't have that time off. So it really gave us an opportunity that we didn't even know we wanted to try out being entrepreneurs, and it worked out really well for us.
Yeah. So just to kind of recap, we'll go through the top 5 benefits that we think. We also have a question on Instagram we'll answer here in just a minute. If anybody else has questions, if you're watching live on Instagram or Facebook, feel free to leave those in the comments now, and we'll answer your questions. It doesn't have to be specifically about this topic, just anything about travel therapy, we're happy to answer. Also, if you guys have gotten value out of this video, we would love if you would hit the thumbs up button, whether you are watching live or watching later on the replay. We would appreciate it. So just to recap, the top 5 benefits of what we think the top 5 benefits of being a travel therapist are: higher pay or greater earning potential as a therapist, being able to experience new practice settings and locations of facilities, being able to work with a variety of clinicians and learn from them along the way, the opportunity to have both personal and professional growth, and the opportunity to gain the flexibility and work-life balance through being a travel therapist.
Yep.
All right, so let's answer a couple of questions here on Instagram. What do you guys advise to buy insurance when you take a travel contract?
We've got an article that goes really in depth in this. It really depends on you. I think most people, it makes the most sense to just take travel or health insurance. Actually, the next question is about how does health insurance work. So travel therapy companies, they offer health insurance, and all of them except one that we know of, and there's a lot of companies out there, but you can just take insurance through them just like you would with any other company you worked for. Usually it's fairly affordable, decent options, they have different tiers, whatever you want to get, and that's what we did for pretty much, I would say, the first 4 or 5 years we were traveling. If you do plan to take a lot of time off, it gets a little bit different though. Like when we started taking these long 5-4 month trips, 6 months off between contracts sometimes, then it made more sense for us to go through the healthcare.gov marketplace and get a plan there instead of relying on an employer that we're only going to have part of the year. So for most travelers, if you're going to be working like most people work and not taking tons of time off, then just going through your travel company makes the most sense.
Yeah, there is a third option. There's several options. We've written articles and done videos about this. If you want to check out our website, you can find more detail about it. But private health insurance, we do know an agent that provides private health insurance. However, there are a lot of limitations depending on your state. There's certain states that won't allow you to participate in these private plans. You have to go through their state marketplace. But for some folks, those private plans will work year-round, and but it also depends on if you're healthy. They do have limitations as far as pre-existing conditions, so that's limiting for some folks. There are some people who do health market, what is it called? Shares?
Health care sharing or health exchanges.
Why am I not thinking of the word? It's like a Christian ministry share where it's not really health insurance, but kind of health insurance, but there's a lot of limitations with those with religious practices and things. Lastly, you could, if you really wanted to look into private insurance, but you didn't qualify in your state for some of those private companies, you could go directly through some of the major carriers like Anthem, or Aetna or something, and contact them to ask if they could do a private plan directly through them. But for most people, it's either going to be through the travel company or through your healthcare.gov state marketplace.
Yep.
All right, Libby wants to know, do you think that the big, beautiful bill will impact travel therapy jobs? Just a thought.
No, I would say the thing that would impact travel the most, and what we've seen over the years, is reductions in reimbursement rates. And I mean, that's happened, I don't know, several times now since we've been traveling. And what's so crazy about it is all these changes, all these things that seem like they're going to be bad for healthcare and everything, the pay just keeps going up for travel healthcare jobs. So, I don't know, all these, basically I think there's a lot more demand than there is supply of therapists right now. So what's going to win overall? Obviously, reimbursement rates being lower is going to decrease the ceiling of what a traveler or what a therapist can get paid. But what impacts, pay overall is the supply and demand of therapists. And right now there are way more travel jobs than there are travel therapists to take those jobs. So these facilities are very desperate. And we've talked about this in the past, but there's a lot of situations where, especially an outpatient clinic for PTs, they'll be willing to lose a little bit of money bringing in a travel PT if they have PTAs there that can also work and they can make money off of them, right? So let's say they have a full-time PT and 2 PTAs and their full-time PT leaves. Their options are hire a traveler or go out of business, right? They don't have someone to do the evals and everything. So in some situations, they will lose money on that travel PT to bring them in to keep the business running. And that applies not just to outpatient, it applies to skilled nursing, home health. They need therapists there to do the evaluations and things. So even some clinics are losing money, they're still bringing in travelers. And like we talked about before, I think probably the average job now is paying 25 to 50% more than when we started traveling. And that includes all the different changes and cuts and everything that's happened that you would think would drive down pay, but it has not.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? If there are no other comments or questions that come through, we'll go ahead and wrap up for tonight. But we appreciate you guys tuning in again, whether you watch live or you're going to listen later on the replay. Stay tuned. We'll have some other videos coming out soon. We'll, kind of see what topics feel relevant. We'll probably do another job market update in the next month or two. To let you guys know what's happening in the market. But again, if you are eligible for our contract completion giveaway, if you took a job with one of our recommended recruiters this year, make sure to get your entries in. We will do those giveaways at the end of the year, close to New Year's. Also, keep an eye out for a MedBridge sale coming up and a sale on our travel therapy course if that's something that you're interested in.
Yep. If you're thinking about travel and you don't know where to start, we have a one-on-one series that's really great. It's free, videos, articles that explain the basics.
Yeah, it's just called Travel Therapy 101. If you just go on our website at traveltherapymentor.com, click on the menu and click on the Travel Therapy 101 series. It's free.
And if you want to get connected with recruiters and companies that we think will work well for your situation, we can help you there as well.
Yep, and you can just go to traveltherapymentor.com/recruiters and fill out that form. I personally read every one of those forms. We have not implemented any kind of AI into our website. I'm sure that so many companies now are just using AI for all their forms and automation. We are just not interested in getting into a lot of technology as far as that goes. It's like if it's not broke, don't fix it. So right now, I personally read every single one of your forms that comes in, and I look at your personal situation. So if you just tell us what's your discipline, what you're interested in, what states, what settings, what's important to you, I will read your form personally, and I will respond to you with 3 recruiters that I think would be a good fit for you. And then the ball is completely in your court. All I do is give you the information, and you can contact them or have them contact you, and you can set up a phone call and decide if you feel like they're a good fit. And again, there's no commitment. You don't have to work with them. You can just set up a phone call, do your job search with them. If they have something that's a good fit for you, you can take a contract or not. So yeah, if you want our help with that, just go to traveltherapymentor.com/recruiters.
And Whitney is probably the most experienced person in the world at choosing which companies and recruiters to send people to, because we've had over 6,000 people fill out that form now that we've sent people out to companies and recruiters, and she's looked at all of them. So
that's a very big statement in the world. It's like such a niche little
There's not many people that
corner
do it,
of the world that we live in.
I think she's probably the most experienced. So
it reminds me when we have friends that are like, "You guys are famous," and we're like, "Yeah," to this like extremely small corner of the internet that is interested in travel therapy. We're somewhat famous.
Yeah.
Most recently that happened when we were in Hilton Head for my friend's wedding back in September, and we're just out at the beach with some friends from different, stages of life, physical therapy school, different stages of life. And a random person came up behind us and said, "Hey, are you from Travel Therapy Mentor?" And my friend that I haven't seen in years was like, "Are you famous or something? You just got recognized on the beach in a different state." And it was a travel therapist that we had helped to get set up with her first travel therapy contract, and she just happened to recognize us, so that was pretty funny.
So Whitney's the most experienced in the world.
Thank you, Jared. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Again, if you are newer to our page, we'd love if you would just go back and revisit some of our old content. We've got any question you pretty much have about travel therapy, we've probably done an article or a video about it, so we can help you out.
All right, take care, everyone.
All right, bye, guys. Have a good night.